Guys, this year for Halloween, my children, I have 3 of them, have all decided that they want to be different kinds of Spider-Man. So we have Ghost Spider, we have Miles, and we have Spider-Man. So of course I need to be a villain, and I've decided to be Dock Ock. My partner's going to be Green Goblin, and I think it's going to be really fun. I wanted to make it a little less traditional and go with a sundress that I could reuse. So I dug through all of my patterns and I found this one. This is Simplicity 8085 here. And I came up with this design here. I'm really happy with the design, excited to show you the results. At Joann Fabrics, I found this bolt of fabric, and I went ahead and bought all of it because I wanted to make my daughter a matching dress, and I wanted to make her doll one too. And I got started, I made the dress. I'm still just kind of breaking back into thinking about YouTube again, so I didn't film the sewing process. I'm still just kind of sewing for the pure joy of sewing, and I've already made my dresses, so I'm going to show you those. I love the toddler dress. I think the toddler one turned out the best out of all 3 of them, and my daughter and I went out and took some pictures. Now that my dresses are done, I can start thinking about the tentacles. I have some wire. I had this 18 gauge wire that I've used in the past for different projects and stuff, but I wanted something a little bit stronger. So I went up to Lowe's yesterday and I picked up this, what is it, 14 gauge wire here, a little bit stronger. And I got my dryer vent hoses. It's a little bit thicker than I wanted. Ideally, I would have liked to have gone with 2-inch, but they don't have it that small. The smallest that they had was 3-inch. So that's what I'm going to use. I found some like plastic tubing that was 1 inch, but it just seemed a little bit too small. I don't want it to be huge. I don't want to be knocking kids over when I'm out with my kids trick-or-treating. It needs to be kind of compact and small, just so that I don't have like anxiety over wearing a big costume in public. That's where I'm at currently. And tomorrow I'd like to start making the tentacles, but I wanted to film this and actually film it so that I feel like I'm paying attention to my YouTube channel. All right, I got a bunch of stuff that I got to get done today, so I don't have the time to do it today, but tomorrow I will start working on my tentacles. First, I need to make the base for my tentacles. I decided that the way it naturally was probably going to be a good size. It's not going to be too big for my back, and I don't believe that that's going to be too small for the tentacles. I guess we'll find out. And then I just kind of looped them together, and I'm going to take some tape and tape it. This will all be covered later, so I'm not too concerned about it staying long term, because this is just a temporary to kind of hold it in place while I'm working with it. Next, I'm going to take my 18 gauge wire and I'm going to make an X on the back just to kind of mark my the space while I do the next step. And I'm taking tape, well, I'm wrapping it around, but I'm also going to take tape and kind of secure the middle and secure the sides if it's slipping around a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to take my 14 gauge wire and I'm going to make these loops in between. I'm going to go around in the circle and I'm going to make these loops. And again, I'm just using tape to hold it in place right now because it's all going to be secured later. This is kind of awkward to do. At this point, I'm not cutting the 14 gauge wire, but I'm going to make points that will come off of the circle on one end and come back down on the other end. And eventually I'm going to stick the tubing on top of those, so I'm making 4 points with the wire. I just wanted to give the ducting or tubing or whatever it's called a little bit more support. It's like its skeleton. And again, I'm just taping it in place. Okay, so here's 2 points done. All right, and here it is with 4 points done. All right, next I took some felt and I am cutting it into strips. I just showed one strip, but I cut out a bunch of them. Next, I'm going to use hot glue to wrap the wire. This is going to make sure that there's not going to be any pokies poking me. And it's also going to secure everything so that it's not going to fall apart. It's a little bit difficult working around those points, but you know, take your time. It worked for me. Here it is once it's all the way covered. I left these holes open for the next step, which I will show you right now. Joann's had these 1-inch belting straps. Couldn't decide, so I got both, but I think that I'm going to go with these ones instead of the D-rings. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. All right, so the first thing I want to do is cut this strap into 2. And melt the end so it doesn't unravel on me. 1 here and 1 here. I think I want to use my zipper foot. Straight stitch, the length of 2, put my width back to 0, and turned out okay. Now that I have the straps on, oh, I'm sorry baby. All right, so now that I have the straps on, I'm gonna mark where I want my my hardware to go. Let's say right about here. If you've never used one of these before, you loop the strap around the middle bar and then you sew it down. I'm really hoping that the ends of the straps will be long enough, and I think that they will be. So I won't have to open up my second package. I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing that I did to attach the top. Just wrap it around and sew it down. Yeah, it's my Dock Ock tentacles, but my craft scissors aren't working, so I got these little wire ones. I don't know if these are big enough. Let's see. Wire. I got 2 tentacles! To attach the tentacles to the base, I used a combination of E6000 and hot glue. And then I went back and I just kept adding hot glue. And then once I thought that I'd added enough hot glue, I went back and I added more hot glue because
I don't want my tentacles to fall off. I hot glued the crap out of that thing. For the base of my claws, I'm using these half styrofoam balls. Eventually, I'm going to want to spray paint them silver, and if you've ever spray painted styrofoam, you'll know that it just dissolves it. So I'm going to cover it with Mod Podge, and I ended up doing 2 coats. It's like sealing the styrofoam and giving it a nice protective coat. The claws need to be as light as I can get them, so I'm using this styrofoam poster board, and I cut out 24 pieces. To make the claw, I used duct tape, wire. I started out just by taping the bottom and the top part of the claw together. Then I take some wire and I'm going to tape it to the back side of the claw, making sure that I have like an inch or 2 at the bottom of the claw so that I can stick it into my styrofoam ball. And I ended up using a lot of tape. There's probably a better way to do it. This was working for me, so it's what I did. Once I got my 3 claw pieces taped together, I stuck it into my styrofoam ball. I poked the holes in, and then I kind of pulled it out a little bit, and I used my hot glue, and then I shoved it back inside and let it dry. And I did the same for the other claws until I had 4. I want to give the insides a little bit more stability, give the hot glues a little bit more to stick to when I attach the claws because they're a lot heavier than I had wanted them to be. And here I just kind of eyeballed it where I want the wire to go into the claw. And I just dab the back of it along the inside line, and I put 2 wires in and then hot glue them into place. All right. I had assumed that using Plastidip, I could just like spray it on and it would cover up the fact that I had used tape. I don't know how many coats of this stuff I would have had to do, but I decided to just forget about it, not even bother. I did 1 coat of the Plastidip. It didn't cover that I used tape at all, it's fine. I let it dry, and then I went back with this metallic spray paint. And I ended up with these 4 little aliens right here. I took apart these roses and I'm going to glue it on the center of my claw. And then I have these waterproof tea candles that are pretty bright-ish. And I'm going to glue those in the center as well. Okay. I'm going to shove this on here like this. Sadly, the weight of the claws has made my tentacle arms very droopy. Okay, so from the back, here's the bottom 2, and then here's the top 2. I added a lot more wire to the top. I covered all the ugly parts with this yellow fabric that I used on the dress. It worked.
Alright, so we just got back in the car. Hopefully I got enough footage, but it started to rain on us and the air quality is super bad right now. Peekaboo! What is the air quality? Air quality right now is about 132. Earlier today it was 197, so I've just got a terrible headache and we got what we got and hopefully it was enough. General conclusion after wearing the costume, it hurt my arms right here. I don't know if I need to make like a little cover strap for that, or when we go out I might just put a sweater on and then put the arms on top of it so there's a little bit of a cushion between my skin and that strap. If I was going to do it again, I'd probably move the buckle up a little bit too. I think I put it too far down. Once all the weight of the arms was on there, it's just, it pulls so much that it would be nice to have that a little bit out of my armpit. Yeah. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content. And hopefully I'll see you later. Bye.
You said hit the subscribe button?
Yeah, I did. Happy Halloween.